Krcg 13. Covering you then.
You need to get into your basement.
Tornado-affected areas.
You've got to find a safe place to be.
Completely destroyed.
Yeah, the high winds.
Give a big shout out to Zach Paul.
Covering you always.
Chief Meteorologist Zach Paul in here with you this afternoon. Severe weather moving into mid-Missouri, and we have our first tornado warning of the day. Fulton, if you can get this or you hear this, you want to take your cover and head into your safe place. We are severe clear for many locations right now in mid-Missouri. You should be in your shelters. Eldon, you should be in your shelter. Get into your cellars. Jefferson City, you want to take cover as well. The damage threat for this is considerable as it's moving into the capital city. Potentially very, very dangerous situation here in Jefferson City. If you're in Jefferson City, you need to head to your basements. You need to get to your shelters. You need to go. You need to get there. If you are in Jefferson City, you need to get into your basements now. I cannot stress this. I cannot make this more urgent. You need to get into your basements. This is moving right through the middle of the city. That indicates that this storm is strong. It has picked up some debris and it is moving it all and through. This is in a tornado emergency. Again, just upgraded to tornado emergency. Again, this is imminent danger. Again, imminent threat for Jefferson City. This is potentially the worst severe weather I've ever covered.
This looks to be a piece of a building right here. I'm not going to touch it, but this is part of a building or a shed. There is tornado damage in and near Jefferson City, but it looks like some people are in need of help, so I'm going to go help them.
What we can describe the scene as chaos. Now, traffic is being directed away from Christie Drive at the moment. For those of you who don't know, that is just south of Jefferson City, off of Highway 54. They are directing traffic away because this is an active scene. So for all the Good Samaritans out there, we do not want you going into tornado-impacted areas. There is debris everywhere, and another potential threat is the power. Initially, crews couldn't even get back to impacted areas, damaged areas, because the power was still on. They have to shut off the power for safety concerns before they can go into an impacted area. From what I know from a weather standpoint, this does look like tornado damage, and from what we knew on the radar signature, this could be potential tornado damage here in Jefferson City.
Christie Drive, Highway 54 interchange on the south side of Jefferson City, right before you leave the metropolitan area. There are big problems there. There is damage to a drive-in restaurant. There's damage to a bank. There's no power in the area. There are heavy equipment crews pushing debris out of the way.
Tell us what was happening, what was going through your mind.
So like the sirens were going off, and so they was like evacuate, evacuate. So we went to the bathroom, and I went in the tub with my baby, and then like it started moving, and so it stopped, and then I went to see what happened, and I just see flashlights all outside. And so I go outside, and like the building across from us was shattered. The people underneath us, their window was gone. And then as you go further in the street, all you see is apartments down. In the Hawthorns where I was at, the leasing office gone. The YMCA, most of it is gone. There are buildings, and then there's a gas leak. So they're evacuating everybody out the Hawthorns because of the smell of the gas, and they want everyone to go to YMCA, but like some of the roof is gone, so no one feels safe in the YMCA. So everyone is just walking out of the Hawthorns because the gas is so strong. And so it was very scary. I'm still shaking up, but yeah, no one was like deaf, no one died, but there was people injured. There was cars on trees. There were a lot of people stuck in their apartment. So the fire department did come and try to rescue everyone out, and so that's when they just pushed everyone out of the apartment complex.
This awning is completely wrapped around this car. Damage to the windshields, completely damaged. Most of the awning on this break time is actually it's broken down. There's barely anything here right now except just the broken awning, and this is what much of Ellis Boulevard looks like right now.
You mentioned watching that storm come in, and you were seeing the way that it was heading. Right. What was going through your head in that moment, knowing that this was about to get very serious very quickly?
Well, we had just watched that storm go through the northern part of Boone County there from about midway over through Hallsville, and we'd been out on the roads checking and making sure that folks in Boone County were okay, and about the time we're getting home, we're watching that next cell come in, and it looked pretty mean coming in on radar. And then once it started picking up that echo with the debris, we knew we had some business.
I think I represent the majority of Jefferson City residents that are just waking up to find out what has happened overnight.
This is about the area where this tornado, we believe, kind of started its path towards Jefferson City. Across the street, this is near South Elementary in Eldon. This is a baseball complex here, and just a lot of damage here to what appears to be a grandstand, maybe a concession stand area there.
But this house right here has completely lost its roof to the house. It's completely open. You can see through the window where those winds knocked out the windows, knocked out the roof, all over the ground. There are parts of trees, there are signs, and one of the most visual and graphic things that you can see here are toys, kids' toys, and the damage is very, very severe. I mean, this is probably as graphic as it's gonna get.
I was driving through Cole County. I mean, it was absolutely devastating. There's food signs knocked down, road signs knocked down, power lines just snapped into two. I mean, it's just absolutely, I just can't believe anything like this is happening. I actually even stopped by the local Walmart over there on Stadium Boulevard, and one of the employees told me that she saw at least 15 families tonight come in and just in absolute shambles. Said they've lost everything in their homes, most of them coming from the old Hawthorne apartments. However, there's a lot of devastation going on around here from the community, but I do want to say kudos to the first responders, the linemen, everyone out here tonight working tirelessly to get the city back up and running as best as they can right now. But
power outages here in Eldon. It's very dark where we are as the fire department drives by us right here.
A confirmed large and destructive tornado has hit Missouri's capital, Jefferson City, overnight, according to the National Weather Service. These are some of the early pictures of the damage.
Now, the sun is just rising, and this is the first time that a lot of the authorities and the emergency personnel here can fully see the scope of all the damage after that confirmed tornado ripped through here.
So it will be interesting to see if we have any tornado damage over the river through the woods, through mid-Missouri, because then, even as scientists, this could be an event that not only makes history for the local community, but makes history in the sense that we can pull something and learn something from this event from a scientific perspective.
I will say we have a lot of pictures that viewers have already been sending in, and I believe we're showing some right now of damage throughout Jefferson City, Eldon, and the entire viewing area. And we do encourage everyone to send their pictures in. That's the best way that we can get that information out to you, our viewers, as to...
That's a storefront, but I can't...
Yeah, the windows are, that is very typical. I wouldn't be surprised with a multi-vortex tornado, if that is what we have seen today, that you are going to see windows blown out and then rooftops lifted up, if that makes sense. So rooftops gone and windows blown out, but the structure is still there. Also, when I was down on Ellis Boulevard, there was the U-Haul
rental facility, yes.
Facility. There were another reason why you do not want to be in your car in a tornado-warned storm. There was stuff straight through the car windshield, through the driver's seat. It was just tree branches straight through the window. The whole car was fine, but not the window.
Not a safe place to be.
No.
Not at all.
And of course, we have these down power lines, and you're seeing down power lines in some of these pictures that we're viewing as well. And you don't know whether they're live or not.
Exactly.
And that, you could obviously be electrocuted. This is along Madison Street. That's the old Tennyson store there.
Yes, that was the same photo that we saw earlier that was close up. I was told that's, I believe, right by Carson and Coyle in Jefferson City.
Okay.
And that's the one that had the windows blown out.
Yeah, when I showed up to the scene, I obviously done training to respond to different events like this. I never thought I actually would, but you gotta be prepared for it. And when I showed up, the initial reaction was to just console people and tell them everything's gonna be okay, because look at this damage. You walk outside and you see that damage in your community. It's heartbreaking, it's heart-wrenching.
This is an ongoing situation. We realize that there is a lot of work that we still have to do. The daybreak is just now starting to happen. We have personnel from all disciplines of emergency services here helping us.
We're now starting to see a lot more of the damage that last night's storms caused here in Eldon, and about 800 feet away, about a block away from Eldon Drive-In. So to give you an idea of How far this sign traveled from Eldon Drive-In to land right here gives you an idea of how far debris was tossed.
The damage that was done to this building, I mean, it's just been ripped to shreds. It's going to get a better look of that building, that structure that I was talking about. Just look how it's just ripped to absolute shreds.
We only have 20 people reported injured right now, and no deaths in this area. The authorities are going to go door to door starting in just a few minutes, they said, and checking on all these facilities. This is the back of the buildings there on East Capitol, and we're still on Lafayette as you pan there.
Thank God that my wife and daughter weren't still in this bed when this hit. It's horrible.
Out of this horrible storm, nobody perished. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? And you were safe. Nobody in Jefferson City.
Somebody said there was 7 people there,
but it wasn't here.
I think down in Southwest
Jefferson City area wasn't.
We survived.
Yes.
And that is one of those survivors.
Yes.
And I guess what next? Have you even been able to fathom what you do now?
I need a place to stay. I have nothing. These my brother's clothes. I had only my gown and my house shoes on. I still got the house shoes, but I have nothing.
All right, Annette, God bless you. I know there are many around here helping, and families like Annette Kohler are going to need it. We're live outside of Jefferson City High School. We'll send it back to you.
This is a lot for this small community.
It absolutely is, and even the statewide statistics, F3s or EF3 tornadoes are rare in this area. About 85 to 90% of the tornadoes we get are on the smaller scale, which would be the 0 and 1s and possibly even some 2s. And EF3 damage, again, with winds up to 160 miles per hour, has caused a lot of damage around here. Not something that we see very often, and thank goodness that we don't see that very often, because you end up getting images like this where you've got numerous roofs tore off a lot of the buildings here. Again, this is some of the damage that we've seen from the Jefferson City area. This is off of the Ellis Boulevard area here. It looks like that's
perhaps East Capitol.
East Capitol on some of those right there, possibly. But extensive damage. It started south of the city and went right through the city. There you can see the state capitol building.
We're told no damage to the Capitol, to the scaffolding and the covering, yes, but not to the building.
Yeah, the building itself is in good shape, and again, this is just very extensive. A lot of the heavy damage, the roofs that we're seeing off of these multi-dwelling buildings.
A lot of people showing up here this evening for a place to stay, and as you said, Governor Mike Parson was just here. He left moments ago. There's some video here you can see. He just stopped by to shake some people's hands, talk with volunteers, talk about, what the needs are and what people are going through.
You told me a lot of people have been out here helping all day today, helping you clean up and take care of things.
Well, I was wondering how Jefferson City would handle a tragedy. I mean, we are so helpful. I mean, we give and give and give, and so far it's been Jefferson City at its finest.
If you are just joining us, good evening, and thanks for being here as we continue an expanded edition of KRCG 13 Live at 10. Covering the devastating storms and tornado damage in the capital city and in the surrounding areas.
Yeah, what we know now from the National Weather Service, the storm that rolled through Cole County here specifically, last night was a strong EF3 tornado. It had wind speeds at maximum 160 miles per hour. It had a path just under 20 miles long, and at its maximum width was about a half-mile wide.
2 of the other sons were in the basement.
I woke up to hearing my family screaming upstairs. So that was pretty much my first thought. I didn't exactly know what was going on until I heard the creaking in the walls.
His family, initially trapped upstairs, were able to jump out, but the furniture in the walls quickly started to cave in. House of refuge is a complete loss.
I kind of broke down a couple of times today, but I just know that God's going to work it out.
Bishop Alphonse Webb knows it could have been worse. Hours before the tornado hit, 20 people were inside for Bible prayer.
We could have had a shut-in prayer all night until 12 o'clock midnight, and we would have been right in the storm.
Look at all this, dude. Careful. Holy cow. Saw there's whole power lines just snapped in half.
It's amazing to watch these kids. For them to come out without a hesitation, without question, to come out and help out, pass food, help the community, bring them together, I mean, that's huge.
There you go. Hey, that'll work. Would you like any burgers or water?
Oh, yeah, sure.
some burgers.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
It feels really good just helping all these people and just seeing everyone like come together and work to make it all better. You like hamburger?
Take a water. This place is home, you know. I mean, just seeing our friends and seeing our families' houses and property get destroyed and our school get destroyed, you know, it's really inspired and motivated us, you know, get out there and help make a difference.
Thank you, guys.
I really believe if we just stay together and work hard here, you know, we can really make a difference and get our home back to normal.
You know, I'm not going to lie, this morning I'm coming in like, okay, this is real. You know, the next morning here we come, and I mean, it really makes you cry. It really does. And if, you know, we haven't cried about it, we will, and it's okay, but we're here together. This is significantly better and more cleaned up, but I will say it's still, I mean, it's very painful to see anybody's homes boarded up, and then you see some of these that all the progress made on Capitol Avenue, and then you start to see like the Burkhead's beautiful. Remember the
right,
porch
the old porch that they had?
Like every home here has suffered significant damage. I mean, all of them.
As somebody that grew up in Jefferson City and in sort of the love that you show for this town, what's this like?
You know, it's difficult because when the community is, you know, feeling the hurt from losing things and the loss that you feel, you know, you feel that hurt and you feel that same sort of sense of loss that they, like, we're okay, like we're still here to talk about it, so
right.
We're all right. I mean, when you were on there forecasting, I was tuning in and thinking, oh my gosh, and I could hear it in your voice that this is really bad. And then you see it and it's really bad, but you know what, we all are around now to see it. And you know, I'd rather have us all around to see the damage and figure it out than have to mourn the loss of a person rather than a building.
Let people help us, right?
That's right. That is exactly right. And I think it's okay to, you know, we've got to work through the process of being sad and scared and what's going to happen. I mean, that's all normal, and we got to work through that. But the thing is, we work through it together. Down, and you know, we're kind of driving in these neighborhoods and the police are out there, and it's like going through a web of power lines, you know, of trying to find people and are they okay, and as you see people out, do they need help getting to a shelter? And so, you know, I think the best thing, one of the best things I experienced was watching the Jefferson City Police Department and the fire department kick it into high gear and being out there. The winds were strong, but we're stronger, and I firmly believe that. And this will make us stronger than we ever were before. And I firmly believe those challenges are what, you know, what really make us a better community. And yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to get through this.
You can still see there is rubble here and this obliterated utility pole, one of hundreds that was destroyed in the tornado.
We couldn't get out from the front. All the windows were blown. There was glass everywhere.
On Wednesday, a massive EF3 tornado with 160-mile-per-hour winds wreaked havoc on houses and businesses, leaving many families to find new shelter. How no one died in this storm is called a miracle Thursday evening in Jefferson City, Missouri.
Our weathermen did an incredible job of really tracking it actually right to this street.
Rebecca Rodeman lives here at the intersection of East Capitol Avenue and Lafayette Streets. She says she had seconds to seek shelter after seeing debris swirl outside. A tornado moving overhead sounded like a train.
It was coming quickly, so I ran in the house, had to throw everything out of the closet. We got in there fast. It was right under a stairwell, fortunately, and toggled with the door. I think the most terrifying part was not knowing if I could keep that door shut, but it finally clicked, and we just said a prayer and we made it through.
Rebecca is now safe and picking up the pieces of her home and community.
You cannot believe what we've been able to accomplish in one day. I am blown away.
Chainsaws buzzing, the roar of heavy equipment, and spectators offering a helping hand are all common sights and sounds of hard work and generosity. Rebecca's boyfriend, Reed Millard, enlisted several volunteers to clean this part of historic Capitol Avenue.
We got friends that had skid steers, track hose with the little thumbs on them,
and a lot of different equipment, and then also just good hard labor.
We want to show you a look inside this building here. We're going to peek our cameras underneath the rain gutter that's been ripped from the house. If you look inside, this home has been ripped apart from the inside out. As many as 70 families in this area have been devastated and displaced because of the storm. She says when that tornado lifted up her home, she felt it toss the home about 300 feet that way before it crashed to the ground.
May 22nd, 2019. Severe storms strike mid-Missouri. Our first response to alert you.
But this is a observed tornado.
To protect.
There is severe damage here.
To help save lives.
There could be gas leaks.
Now our job is to support the first responders' cleanup and relief efforts.
We are searching for people.
KRCG 13 News. Together we stand mid-Missouri strong.
It's been more than a month since Eldon was hit by a tornado.
The tornado came out of nowhere, and it was so fast, and everything's different.
Meet Jessica Decker, a 36-year-old single mom of 3 who lost everything she owned when an EF1 tornado tore through her home in Eldon.
I'm just not prepared for it to all be gone. So I just have it. I'm like, it's fine, it's fine.
So I grabbed her and snatched her and threw in there and closed the door. Seconds after that, it hit. Where all the boarding is, there was nothing there. Nothing but just sky.
What's keeping that positive spirit going?
To see people coming to our aid and to hear that there are people that are genuinely concerned and genuinely want to help.
Helias practices emergency drills once a month.
In 2017, we were able to add this new addition to Helias, an administrative wing, science classrooms, but then also this lower level addition, which allows us to keep more students safe in our school community.
What qualifies this area as a safe space?
So it's 3 floors below ground, as well as there are no exterior windows in this space, and there are all interior walls, and so this is a really good place to keep kids safe in our school.
Superintendent Matt Davis says it was just 4 years ago that a shelter was built. An idea sparked after the 2011 Joplin tornado, amongst other disasters. That May 22nd night, roughly 50 to 60 people filled the school's shelter as the tornado ripped through the town.
Truly just was kind of broke your heart to see. Special Olympics touches people's hearts, and it's because of our athletes. It's not about the program, it's not about staff, it's not about our name, it's about what our athletes inspire in people.
It's been a total whirlwind for Special Olympics Missouri since this night in May when their building came crashing in. The tornado left behind damaged drywall, flooring, windows, and electrical equipment.
When the tornado hit, I saw what I've seen happen so many times, and that is Central Missouri responds.
Special Olympics Missouri president and CEO Susan Stegman says it's been hard not being able to access the building because it's home to thousands of special athletes across the state.
In the meantime, we're finding alternative ways to deliver our programs to our athletes, and we've been really creative in doing that.
During this time, Stegman says Special Olympics athletes continue to train, participate in games, and above all, have kept a positive attitude with successful rebuild on their mind.
The Jefferson City landmark had weathered every severe storm for nearly 183 years with no significant damage. That all changed the night of May 22nd when a powerful tornado left a path of destruction from Eldon to the Missouri River. Tonight, KRCG 13 meteorologist Elise Smith takes us inside the battered walls to show how the May storm put centuries of history there at risk.
The tornado struck. We were just very fortunate that this prison was closed and no one here, because there would have certainly been injuries and probably loss of life.
Death and destruction. That's what Jefferson City residents worried about after a strong EF3 tornado tore across town on the night of May 22nd, 2019. And though there was unimaginable destruction, no one died in that storm. As a weather-ready community, residents knew when, where, and how to seek shelter. But there was one lesson that could not be taught: how to recover and live after the storm.
The experience started before I even got in here.
We spoke to Michael Gruss, former warden turned tour guide of the old Missouri State Penitentiary, after one of his first tours back since the tornado. Today, he's thankful that no one was inside when the tornado hit.
When I got in here, I really wasn't prepared for what I saw, because what it more looked like is if a bomb had gone off. Debris laying everywhere, windows broken out of buildings, and just the damage universally anywhere you looked.
In the days and weeks following the tornado, the Missouri Office of Administration's Division of Facilities Management, Design, and Reconstruction contracted with Allstate Engineering to provide structural damage assessment to the property. After several months of being closed to the public, the penitentiary is back open, though tours are not what they used to be.
This is Housing Unit 4. It's one of the primary buildings that we use on tours that we give here, and it's our oldest building. It's over 150 years old. We are not able to use it right now because of the tornado damage. Structurally, the outer part of the building was pretty much undamaged, but it did take the roof off, and as a result of that, it's dangerous to enter the building until that is repaired.
We previously visited Housing Unit 4 with Gruss last year, where he explained to us how mid-Missouri weather influenced the everyday life of inmates while the prison was in operation. It was also the primary building used in the history tours on site. To offset this loss, tours now offer a more in-depth look at Housing Units 3A and B, which hold the cells of former death row inmates.
We bring tour groups around this direction, which takes you back to the actual walks and to the cells. And this is the area, once again, where we have to hold our very worst inmates. We're trying to give people another perspective that we didn't offer before on history tours. And this is a new perspective that I think people are going to enjoy and feel educated about, that they never had exposure to, even if they've been here 2 or 3 times on tours.
And not only that, because of the Jefferson City tornado, part of the penitentiary that has not been seen in this century will be excavated. In the 1980s, there were prison cells found in between housing units underneath what was the exercise yard for death row inmates. After these cells were found, they were covered back up. Now, plans are in place to rediscover these cells yet again. The Missouri Office of Administration said in a statement to Krcg, the initial unearthing should occur sometime in the next 2 months through an unearthing and design phase funded by the Jefferson City Convention and Visitors Bureau. And with that, the old Missouri State Penitentiary will continue to withstand mid-Missouri weather with stories that are stronger than any storm. In Jefferson City, meteorologist Elise Smith, KRCG 13.
It has been nearly 6 months since an EF3 tornado ripped through parts of Jefferson City.
If school would have been in session during the tornado, this floor and the one above are where students would have come to seek shelter. However, district officials say students would have been safe because both floors were left untouched.
They had been perfectly fine, and what's neat about that is that you don't know that when you have an architectural engineer tell you this is the safest part of the building. Well, there's no way to test that because you can't run a tornado through your building and test it. And so you just hope that and pray that that's the way it's going to be.
6 months ago, some businesses along Ellis Boulevard were almost unrecognizable. 6 months later, most places along the boulevard are back to normal after being destroyed. And some places are still a work in progress.
It was pretty heartbreaking to see all of the destruction, the glass. There were pieces of trees laying on the carpet inside, all the way into the sanctuary. There's a long road ahead.
But through the storm, progress is being made.
I think the next steps will be to finish the outer envelope, which is the windows and the outer part of the roof, the fascia and the soffits. Once we get that done, then we'll be able to put some people inside, starting to replace the wall finishes throughout the building. There'll be a lot of rebuilding of electrical and lighting and that sort of thing also.
Despite these conditions, the congregation held its first worship service in the building since the storm on Christmas.
We quickly worked with people to understand that the church really isn't the building, the church is the people. This is an opportunity for many of our members that have not been in the church for 7 months to come in and see what our present condition is.
When disaster strikes, KRCG 13 has you covered.
during the storm.
I cannot make this more urgent.
Tornado-affected areas.
Potentially the worst severe weather I've ever covered.
After the storm.
This is some very, very visual damage.
It's just unbelievable, honestly.
This is one of the worst damaged homes.
And always.
More storms are possible.
Live report with an update.
It's going to be a story all summer.
Keeping you and your family safe.
Got to give a big shout out to Zach Paul.
KRCG 13 has you covered.